It's funny that even during One Piece break week, somehow the community is still thinking about the same exact thing. I'm over here like, okay, I got a pretty unique idea that people haven't discussed in a while. Luffy meeting Shanks, how's that meeting going to go down? And then boom, Sensei drops a video on it, and boom, Brago drops a video on it, and now I'm like late to the party. But that's still what we're discussing in this video, and specifically, I want to focus on what happens when Luffy does meet Shanks. Plenty of people have talked about where, people have speculated that it's Elbaf. I'm not really sure if that will be the case. I'll probably address that in a separate video, but to me what's a lot more interesting is trying to speculate what exactly is going to go down when Luffy and Shanks finally meet. Because if you think about it, this storyline has been set up since chapter 1 of the story. In chapter 1 was when it was really established Luffy is going to become a pirate, and two storylines were really set in place. Luffy wants to become the Pirate King and will try to do so as he continues on his pirate journey, and when he becomes a great pirate, he will once again meet Shanks and return the Straw Hat to him. So when this reunion finally happens, it will be something that we've been waiting for probably over 1,000 chapters. But I do think it's going to happen soon. Like even the last time we saw Shanks, he said himself that he's ready to meet Luffy soon. And of course, the news of Luffy going up against Big Mom and Kaido has spread across the world, and I'm sure Shanks have heard about that. And by the end of Wano, I do personally expect Luffy to win against Kaido and Big Mom. Maybe he won't defeat them personally, but he will come out of that battle on top, which would mean he's won against the two pirates with the highest bounties in the world right now, and two pirates that have higher bounties than Shanks. So I think that qualifies him for being a great pirate ready to beat Shanks. Now, like I said, I'm not really gonna be talking too much about where they exactly meet, but I do think it will be outside of Wano. An idea a lot of people bring up, and I saw Brago mention this in his video, is that Blackbeard and Shanks will both arrive to Wano by the end of the arc. This theory is kind of backed by the idea that Blackbeard, first of all, is with Gecko Moria right now, somebody who has a lot of ties to Kaido, and the idea that Blackbeard will swoop in and get Kaido's Devil Fruit and giving him the most powerful zone, Paramecia, and Logia. And then of course by that point Blackbeard will be too much for the Alliance to handle, and that's where Shanks comes in. And I do think this theory is a possibility. It would tie in nicely with the idea of this being the Yonko saga. Those two also arriving in Wano will put every single Yonko in one place. Not only the 4 current ones, but also Luffy, the proclaimed 5th one, and also Marco and the Whitebeard Pirates as a former Yonko crew. So if you're thinking it as the climax of this Yonko saga, having all Yonko in one place would be kind of fitting. But to me, it just seems way too chaotic, and as much as I like the idea of Blackbeard having this dragon form and also having the Yami Yami no Mi and the Gura Gura no Mi, him swooping in once again would kind of feel like a rinse and repeat of Marineford. I personally lean towards the idea that Luffy would just simply win the battle against Kaido and Big Mom and then meet Shanks afterwards. And then Shanks and Luffy will kind of have a friendly kind of arc before Luffy leaves, and then Blackbeard and Shanks engage in something. Shanks will probably ultimately lose there, setting up this final Blackbeard versus Luffy battle. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Where and how do you think Luffy and Shanks will eventually meet? That'll probably be a video I do soon. But as far as Luffy and Shanks and what their meeting is going to be like, first and foremost, I'm tossing out the idea that Shanks is evil. For anybody that still believes in that theory, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. With the way Shanks' character has been portrayed, with how nice he is, like what he showcased in Fuchsia Village of being nice to the villagers and everything, but also his motivations of showing up to Marineford and stopping the war, and how he tried to stop Ace from going after Blackbeard to try to prevent an unnecessary war, also stopping Kaido from going to Marineford to increase even more damage. The only base for Shanks being evil is him having a conversation with the Gorosei, seemingly pretty civil even though he's a pirate. But I feel like that's just part of him being such a central strong figure within the pirate world, and he's not like a reckless crazy guy like Kaido and Big Mom, to the point where the Gorosei could be like, okay, we could listen to this guy and hear him out, and he's not just gonna try to tear down the entire world government. Now, by no means do I think Shanks is a saint or a hero. He's still a pirate at the end of the day, but he's not like some kind of evil mastermind. Like when Luffy finally meets him, he's gonna pull back the curtains and find out Shanks has this evil master plan to take over the world and everything. I just don't think that's the case. But at the same time, I don't think Shanks and Luffy's meeting is just gonna be, hey, let's just drink and have fun and have a chit chat about everything we've accomplished and be friends. That whole interaction would be fun in the beginning, but would last like 3 chapters and would be rather boring. There's gotta be some sort of conflict, something to make it interesting. And to me, I am a major believer believer in the idea that Shanks and Luffy partakes in a Davey Back Fight. For those of you that don't remember, or maybe you just simply skipped this arc, but the Davey Back Fight is the competition that Luffy and his crew competed in against Foxy's crew. Back in the Long Ring Long Land arc, which in my opinion is the worst arc in the whole story. I've heard that is better in the manga, but I experienced it in the anime and that was absolutely trash. But still, it was a canon arc within the story, and as we know, every single arc serves a purpose in the story of One Piece. Even something like the Reverse Mountain arc, this seemed like this very simple arc just to showcase Luffy and the Straw Hats arriving in the Grand Line. That was pretty much it. But that's where we met Laboon, and he has a huge connection to Brook, whose dream is literally to go back and meet Laboon again. Crocus turned out to be the doctor on the Roger Pirates. And even on top of that, Crocus explaining the log post to Nami and how to get to Laugh Tale of following every single island, that might be foreshadowing towards another storyline in Lodestar. I talked about this in another video, check that out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, one of the best things about Oda is how he implements all these little foreshadowings and storylines connected to something way later in the story. And as we know, this reunion between Luffy and Shanks was set up all the way back in chapter 1. So the Davey Back Fight could easily be the thing from the Long Ring Long Land arc that plays a big role later in the story. Some might say the important thing about the Long Ring Long Land arc actually came at the end of the arc when the Straw Hats met Aokiji, but the majority and the focus of that arc was still the Davey Back Fight. And we're already starting to get hints that the Davey Back Fight was much deeper than that silly ass fight that Foxy presented. When it was introduced, the Davey Back Fight was described as this game to steal pirates from other crews that originated in a place called Pirate Island. And well, guess what? Pirate Island turned out to be a real place. Blackbeard right now has his home base there, but before Blackbeard, that island was the home base to none other than Rox D. Zebek. And as you know, the Rox Pirates had all these monsters on it, Whitebeard, Kaido, Shiki. So how exactly did Rox get all those strong people in one place to serve under him? Like, it doesn't seem like Kaido, Big Mom, Shiki, these guys are willing to serve under other people. Especially even somebody like Whitebeard, who we know is not this crazy, bloodthirsty, murderous person. All he just wanted was a family, so why would he serve under somebody like Rox? Well, how about a game where if you lose, you have to completely pledge loyalty to the other captain? This one just makes way too much sense in my opinion. It's like pretty much almost confirmed for me. You have this crazy legendary pirate crew with insanely strong people, and their home base is an island where this game originated from that steals pirates from other pirate crews. It just makes too much sense. So in my opinion, the Davey Back Fight is a real game, and it was a game that led to the creation of the legendary Rox crew. But now with it being this actually crazy game, it begs the question of what's the game actually like? Like, what are the actual games, and what would it look like if we had some really like monstrously strong people competing in the game? Well, what better way to showcase it than to have Luffy and Shanks and their crews go up against each other? Luffy did say he wanted to take down all 4 of the Yonko. I don't think that was all talk, so that does mean he has to somehow defeat Shanks. Now, I'm not expecting them to just duke it out and see who's stronger. Although I do think when they first meet each other, those two will like really quickly clash, and like everybody will be really shocked, and there'll be pretty much like huge shockwaves and everything, and Nami and Chopper and Usopp will probably start freaking out. It's like, oh my god, who's this really strong enemy that we're about to face? And then it turns out it's just Luffy and Shanks paying each other respect in a way, and then they'll start partying and having a laugh, just having a good time all together. Shanks will be like, ah, Luffy, you're crazy. You went up against that crazy beast and that old hag at the same time. I can't believe you. And then Luffy will be like, oh yeah, I almost died, but the samurai gave me a lot of meat, so it was all worth it. I could totally see that sort of interaction going down first when they first meet up. But like I said, that can't be the whole entire scene of those two meeting up. I expect them to want to compete and show off a little bit. So the Davey Back Fight to me is a perfect way to do it. It will also kind of show off both their crews as well, which I'm dying to find out more about the red hair pirates with Lucky Rube and Beckman, Yasopp, what they're capable of. And it will kind of highlight Luffy's greatest strength of his judgment of character and showcase that he's created a crazy crew himself as well. And also just kind of having this very intense and highly skilled but also kind of laid back and chill arc will be very fitting after this whole war thing we just went down with Wano that's been built up for so long, and there's a lot of dark themes tied to it. It'd be nice to get a little breather after Wano with a Davey Back Fight and seeing Shanks and the red hair pirates competing with the Straw Hats. And then afterwards you can have Blackbeard come in, become more of a villain, and head towards this crazy big war Oda's been hyping up. I think it would be kind of exhausting if after Wano we head directly into this crazy war. It would definitely be hype, but for me it was like we need a little breath. We need a little little break. And I think Oda likes that downtime to kind of show off the Straw Hats a little bit, incorporate a little more comedy. It's a nice balance of things and makes One Piece great. But let's talk about the Davey Back Fight and its rules and potentially what matchups we might see in it. First and foremost, one of the rules mentioned by Foxy was that the Davey Back Fight is set in place once both captains agree, which I could definitely see, like Luffy and Shanks just be like, oh yeah, let's do this, Davey Back Fight, we're down, and then their crews are kind of freaking out. Maybe not the red hair pirates because they're kind of used to it now, but the Straw Hats and like Nami and Chopper would definitely be freaking out that they have to take on another Yonko crew already. I'm also incredibly curious what the rules to this game actually is. One of the things that does get brought up is like Luffy and Shanks, they're not gonna steal crewmates from each other, and the benefit to this game is stealing crewmates or claiming the other crew's flag, which I don't think either crew would do either. Some people have brought up the idea of Shanks maybe having the fourth road poneglyph and him putting that on the line, and then maybe Luffy putting one of his copies of the poneglyphs on the line as well. That could definitely make sense, but it could definitely be something else. There's plenty of things that I think Oda could create to make it like the prize winning. It could easily just be meat at the end of the day. Like, it's not really about the winnings, it's about like their pride. They're really both just fighting to prove themselves. Another rule that gets mentioned as a traditional rule by the Foxy Pirates is that each team gets 7 members and those 7 members will compete in 3 games. Now this rule could easily be wrong and manipulated by Foxy and his crew, but I actually think it might be true because they mentioned it as a traditional rule. I'm gonna go through some potential matchups now, but comment below and let me know what you think would be good matchups for the Red Hair Pirates versus the Straw Hat Pirates. There are some really obvious ones. You have Luffy versus Shanks and of course Usopp versus Yasopp, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But besides those two, I think Lucky Roo and Ben Beckman definitely have to get involved as well. And to match up against those two, I actually really like Sanji and Jinbei. Not only did I kind of bring up this idea of Jinbei and Sanji and Zoro being like Luffy's commanders in a way in a recent video, check that out if you haven't seen it already. But Jinbei and Sanji have been kind of teaming up a good amount. Like back in Fishman Island, they teamed up in their matchup against Watatsumi. Now in Wano, we're seeing them team up a little bit as well. Maybe they will for their matchup as well. So Sanji and Jinbei fighting against Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo would be really cool. Of course, it would be Jinbei versus Lucky Roo. I love those big chonky boy matchups. Sanji and Ben Beckman will be a dope matchup to see as well. Now some of you might be wondering, Ben Beckman is kind of like the right hand man of Shanks, so why is he not going up against Zoro? Well, that's because I really like the idea of Mihawk being there when the Straw Hats meet Shanks. As you know, the Shichibukai system has been abolished. The Marines are sending a lot of people towards the former warlords right now, and last we saw Mihawk, he was surrounded by a bunch of battleships, which that isn't a problem, but if admirals start coming after him, I'm sure he will be able to handle them, but that will be kind of bothersome to him. So it definitely would not hurt for him to go and just chill out with a friend in Shanks for a while. We know they have a friendly relationship, and I don't think Shanks would mind, and this will set up a great reunion between Mihawk and Zoro. Zoro not only meeting the person that trained him during the time skip again, but now is getting a chance to kind of prove himself and maybe challenge him once again for that title of the world's strongest swordsman. That storyline was set up very, very early in the storyline as well. Now some of you might say it might be too early for Zoro to fight Mihawk and win. It's like too early for him to claim that title and accomplish his dream, especially when most of the other Straw Hats doesn't seem like they're accomplishing their dreams anytime soon until they get to Laugh Tale. But I think we are getting very close to endgame, and I would not be mad at Zoro defeating Mihawk already. I think after Wano, he's not only gonna really prove himself to be very, very strong, but he's gonna gain the respect of all the samurai of Wano and be portrayed as one of the strongest swordsmen in the world. But at the same time, I could see a scenario where it's a very, very close fight and he still ends up losing. And then maybe later during a clash with the Blackbeard Pirates, Mihawk actually loses to Shiryu, which will set up a final fight against Shiryu and Zoro. That's a matchup I think will happen eventually and would definitely add more weight to it if Shiryu defeated Mihawk and Zoro wasn't able to. I could see it going either way, to be honest. But as far as Zoro versus Mihawk, some have said that it wouldn't make sense for them to also compete in the Davey Back fights. First of all, that would kind of mean Mihawk would have to join Shanks' crew, which I honestly don't think is gonna happen either. And then also it being part of a team competition wouldn't really make sense. But you gotta remember, if parts of the Davey Back fight against Foxy holds true, the third round of the Davey Back fight is a straight up combat battle. And it will be a nice callback because in the first Davey Back fight, Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy were all like arguing of who should take place in that battle. Of course, Luffy got it that time and he faced Foxy, but this time around, maybe Zoro's like, hey guys, I gotta take this one, and then Mihawk steps up. He's like, okay, hey, there's my student over there, Shanks. I'm gonna join your crew for like temporarily real quick. Let me take part in this battle, and we get this round 3 combat battle of just Zoro versus Mihawk. That could definitely work as well, and I could see the result going either way in that situation. But yeah, maybe Zoro and Mihawk partake in it, maybe they don't, but if we're counting them, that would add the competition to 5 members each. After that, the only person we know from Shanks' crew is Rockstar, who was introduced back around the Jaya arc. Back then, he had just joined the Red Hair Pirates. I believe he had a bounty of about 94 million berries, which was 6 million lower than Luffy's at the time. I feel like just because he was introduced a long time ago and we actually know him, he would have to partake in this battle. As far as who he would be competing against, maybe Brooke, maybe Frankie. I feel like those two could be motivated to partake in the Davey Back Fights. Or if Yamato comes along, could be a nice time to get them some shine. But yeah, I think Rockstar will probably be another person there. And if it's actually limited to 7 people, I think the 7th person will probably be a person that we've seen both in chapter 1 and also later during Marineford. 2 people off the top of my head. You got the bald guy with like eyeshadow, and then another dude with a bandana that we've seen in both scenarios. So it could definitely be an opportunity to give them some shine, or there's just not that 7-person rule and that was just completely made up by Foxy, and all the Straw Hats get to compete against a bunch of other Red Hair Pirates. And as far as who will win this Davey Back Fight, I would like to think that it will be the Straw Hats and they get to really prove themselves, especially coming off of this win against Kaido and Big Mom. But I think it could go either way, and that's what would make it exciting. I could definitely see like the Red Hair Pirates like prove why they are the most well-balanced Yonko crew in all of the sea. I definitely expect it to be this incredibly close, intense battle. We talked a bit about Zoro versus Mihawk, but Luffy versus Shanks, that would be a crazy battle. But the one I might be looking forward to the most could be Yasopp versus Usopp, because I don't think that interaction is gonna be as simple as it seems, because so far it kind of seems like Usopp really admires his dad. His dream is almost like carrying on his dad's will and wanting to become a brave warrior of the sea just like his dad. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, Yasopp is a deadbeat dad. He just ditched his family. I'm sure Usopp is still a little mad at him for that. I would at least hope so, especially because his mom died while his dad was away. Does his dad even know his mom died? I have to go and look that up again. Maybe I'll put it in the notes somewhere, but I don't think so. So although I feel like it's portrayed that Usopp really looks up to his dad, and that's what the Straw Hats believe, when they actually meet, I think Usopp is gonna have some resentment towards his father, and he's gonna like really want to prove himself to his dad, and that's gonna be a very emotional battle in a way, because I think when they meet up, Usopp is not really gonna be at the level of Yasopp, so he's gonna have to really challenge himself and grow within that battle. And once again, that sets up another scenario where you just don't know who's gonna win. I think it could go either way. Usopp wins and proves himself, or Yasopp still wins and tells Usopp, hey, you still have a while to go. And then maybe afterwards they get to sit down, have a heart-to-heart conversation, and really sort everything out. Because another thing I expect to happen, even if this Davey Back Fight doesn't happen, is Shanks and his crew kind of training Luffy and his crew. Shanks teaching Luffy would be the advanced version of Conqueror's Haki, which a lot of people have speculated. With the way the story is progressing, with how Luffy is advancing his Haki, first in Future Vision back in Whole Cake Island, now with Ryo and advanced armament in Wano, it only makes sense Conqueror's has another advanced level that you go to, so it's not just this fodder control. And the perfect person to teach him would be Shanks, the person who showcased Conqueror's Haki literally in chapter 1 when he scared off that Sea King. And he's also showcased tremendous levels of Conqueror's Haki when he went to Whitebeard's ship. And also there's been a lot of theories about what advanced Conqueror's Haki actually is, based off of what Shanks has actually showcased in Pirate Warriors 4, where he's kind of blasting like red lightning everywhere, and people think that might be advanced Conqueror's Haki. So I think it makes perfect sense for there to be this like little bit of training here by the Red Hair Pirates for the Straw Hat Pirates. Shanks and Luffy there, Yasopp and Usopp, of course Mihawk if he's there, maybe he could train Zoro a little more, and I'm sure other Red Hair Pirates could teach more to the other Straw Hats. And during that, they could kind of give Luffy and his crew a little more information about Laugh Tale and kind of really push them towards their final destination, their final trek to Laugh Tale, and Luffy becoming the Pirate King and everybody achieving their dreams. But as Luffy is traveling there, I definitely expect some sort of confrontation of Shanks versus Blackbeard. How that comes to be, I'm not exactly sure. Let me know your thoughts on that too, because that will be a video I probably do soon too. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on this reunion of Shanks and Luffy and how it will go. But what about you guys? What do you think will happen when Shanks and Luffy finally reunite? Do you like this idea of this Davey Back Fight? How do you think it would go down? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please hit that like button. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to keep up to date with this channel, you gotta hit that subscribe button and hit the bell to join the notification crew. The King Pirates crew is now over 6,550 members. If you want to interact with your fellow crewmates, the King Pirates Discord is linked in the description below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'm DKing4, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.